In the heart of the city, where the streets are filled with the hustle and bustle of everyday life, there was a young woman named Amora. Her hands were raw from the daily grind, her skin tanned by the scorching sun, yet her smile was bright, carrying the warmth of someone who never gave up. She was a banana seller, struggling to make ends meet, but she had dreams that were bigger than the weight she carried each day. Amora would wake up before dawn, carefully arranging her bananas on her head and walking the busy streets, calling out to anyone who would listen. Her life wasn't easy, but she never let it show. Every sale brought a sense of pride, no matter how small. She worked tirelessly to provide for her family, her widowed mother, her younger brother, and herself. They lived in a modest home on the outskirts of the city, where the walls were cracked and the roof was a constant reminder of their struggles. One evening, after a long day of selling, Amora returned home exhausted. Her mother, Adoma, was waiting for her with a worried look. "Amora, how was today?" Adoma asked, her voice tinged with concern. "Not bad, Mama," Amora replied, placing a few notes on the table. "I made some sales, but it's not enough for Samuel's school fees. We are falling behind." Adoma sighed, her heart heavy with the weight of their circumstances. "I worry for you, my daughter. You deserve more than this." But Amora stood tall, shaking her head. "I will never give up, Mama. As long as I have my strength, I will keep going." The next day, as Amora set up her stall on the busy street corner, something unusual happened. A sleek black car pulled up beside her. The door opened, and out stepped a tall man in a sharp suit. His presence was commanding, and the crowd parted as he walked toward Amora's stall. "How much for a bunch?" he asked, his voice smooth and confident. Amora, taken aback, quickly calculated the price. 500 naira, sir," she replied. He pulled out 1,000 naira note and handed it to her. "Keep the change." Amora hesitated, looking at the money in his hand. "No, sir," she said, shaking her head. "I cannot accept more than the price." The man raised an eyebrow, surprised. "You're refusing extra money. Why?" "I believe in earning what I deserve," Amora said firmly. "I can't take money I didn't work for." He smiled, clearly intrigued. "You don't see that much these days." He glanced at her, then back at the money. "All right then, thank you." And with that, he walked away. Over the next few days, the man whose name was Chak returned again and again. Each time, he bought bananas, and each time, Amora refused to take extra money. His curiosity grew. She wasn't like the other sellers he had met. There was something about her honesty, her dignity, that intrigued him. One evening, as Amora was packing up her stall, Chak walked up to her. "Amora," he said, "I've been watching you for a while now. You have a rare quality. I admire your integrity." Amora blushed, unsure of how to respond. "Thank you, sir." Chak paused for a moment before speaking again. "I have a proposition for you. I need someone to help manage my estate. The pay is good, and it could help with your family's needs. What do you think?" Amora was taken aback. The idea of working for a wealthy man felt strange, but the offer was tempting. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you're different," Chak replied. "You have something rare that I respect. Think about it." As Chak walked away, Amora stood still, her heart racing. Could this be the opportunity she had been waiting for? She needed time to think. The next day, Amora walked into Chak's mansion, feeling a chill down her spine. The house was grand, far beyond anything she had ever imagined. But it wasn't the luxury that made her uneasy, it was the cold look she received from Chak's fiancée, Neka. "So, this is the help." Neka's voice dripped with disdain as she eyed Amora up and down. "Chak, what were you thinking?" Chike, unfazed, stepped forward. She's here to work. Treat her with respect. But Neka wasn't done. You will clean the house, wash the dishes, iron my clothes, and make sure everything is perfect, she said, her tone dismissive. Amora nodded, biting back her pride. Yes, ma'am. And so, Amora began her new life working in Chike's mansion. But it wasn't easy. Neka made sure to make her feel small at every turn, but Amora refused to let it break her spirit. She had a mission, to take care of her family and show them that anything was possible with hard work. One evening, after Neka had once again mocked her for spilling something, Amora silently cleaned it up. She could feel Neka's eyes burning into her back, waiting for a reaction, but Amora remained composed. Unbeknownst to Neka, Chike had been watching from afar. He had seen how Amora handled everything with grace and dignity, never allowing anyone to break her. He admired her more than ever. That night, after Neka had gone to bed, Chike found Amora in the kitchen, quietly making herself some tea. Amora, he said softly, I see how hard you work, and how much you care for your family. I want you to know that I admire you. You're the kind of person I want in my life. Amora looked up, her heart skipping a beat. But I'm just a banana seller, she said quietly. No, Chike said firmly. You are so much more than that. And in that moment, Amora realized that love could indeed grow in the most unexpected places. Despite the differences in their worlds, Chike and Amora had something that could bind them together: honesty, respect, and a shared determination to build a better life. As their relationship blossomed, Amora's family prospered. The struggles of the past began to fade, but one thing remained constant: Amora's unwavering belief that no matter where you came from, integrity and hard work would always light the way. And so, their love story began, a story of hope, of two people from different worlds, finding common ground in the most unexpected of places. The encounter. Adana walked through the busy market, her basket full of fresh bananas, when she noticed a sleek black car pulling up nearby. The car's windows were tinted, but the unmistakable hum of wealth was in the air. She ignored it, focusing instead on her task. But then, she saw him. A man, tall, impeccably dressed in a sharp suit, stepped out of the car. His eyes caught hers for a brief moment. His intense gaze made her pause, her heart racing slightly before she quickly averted her eyes. Excuse me, he said, his voice smooth yet unsure. How much for one banana? Adana blinked, surprised. One banana. It's just a few cents. The man smiled, stepping closer. I'll take 5, he said, reaching into his wallet, pulling out a generous amount of cash. Adana shook her head, unsure how to respond. You don't need to pay so much, she said, offering him the bananas with a smile. Keep the change, he insisted, his voice steady. I'm Ben. Adana, she replied, still taken aback by his presence. For a moment, they stood there, a simple exchange lingering in the air, but something unspoken was already beginning to stir between them. The secret connection. Over the next few days, Ben returned to the market several times. Each time, he sought out Adana, buying bananas or simply talking to her. The more she learned about him, the more confused she became. He was a billionaire, a man who could have anything, yet he seemed drawn to the simplicity of the market, to her. One evening, as Adana set up her stall for the night, Ben appeared again. He looked different tonight, his usual sharp suit replaced by casual attire, a soft smile on his face. You're here again? She asked with a hint of amusement. Ben smiled warmly. I can't help it. There's something about this place and about you. Adana looked away, her heart racing. I'm just a banana seller, she said quietly. You don't need to waste your time with me. Ben stepped closer, his voice sincere. Adana, you're so much more than that. A growing attraction. Days turned into weeks, and the two grew closer. Ben would find reasons to visit the market, sometimes staying for hours, just talking. Adana began to look forward to his visits. There was something about his kindness, his attention to her, that made her heart flutter. One day, as they walked together through the market, Ben stopped and looked at her seriously. Adana, I need to be honest with you, he said, his eyes intense. I've fallen for you. More than I ever expected. Adana froze, her heart pounding in her chest. Ben, you don't know me. I'm just a simple girl trying to make a living. Ben reached for her hand, gently holding it. It doesn't matter. Who you are, what you do, none of that changes how I feel about you. Adana felt a rush of emotion, a mix of joy and fear. She had always dreamed of a life beyond the market, but she had never imagined it would come in the form of a billionaire who could change her world. The conflict. The next few days were filled with uncertainty. Adana couldn't shake the feeling that their worlds were too different. How could a wealthy man like Ben be serious about a girl like her? One evening, Ben invited her to a dinner at one of his luxurious properties. The grand hall, with its crystal chandeliers and golden accents, made Adana feel out of place. She hesitated before stepping into the room, her simple dress feeling small in the face of such opulence. You look beautiful, Ben said, offering her a glass of wine. Adana forced a smile, but the doubt in her heart was growing. I don't belong here, Ben. Ben's face softened. Adana, I don't care about all of this. I care about you. Only you. The choice. The tension between them reached a breaking point one evening as Adana stood by her store, her thoughts swelling. Ben approached, as he always did, but this time, he didn't say anything right away. Adana, he said finally, his voice filled with resolve. I know what you're thinking. You think our worlds are too different, that I'm just some billionaire who can't understand your life. But I see you for who you are. And I know that I want to spend my life with you. No matter where we come from. Tears welled up in Adana's eyes. She wanted to believe him. But could it really work? Could she leave behind the life she knew for something so uncertain? I love you, Adana, Ben whispered, his voice soft and honest. Her heart pounded as she looked into his eyes, and for the first time, she allowed herself to believe in their love. With a deep breath, she smiled. I love you too, Ben. A new beginning. In the days that followed, Ben and Adana made a promise to each other not to let anything tear them apart. Adana continued to sell bananas in the market, but now, every time she looked up, Ben was there, no longer just the billionaire who visited her store, but the man who loved her, and the one she loved in return. Their unexpected romance had defied every expectation, proving that sometimes, love doesn't care about social status, wealth, or where you come from, it just finds its way. She had always believed in the value of hard work, living each day by the simple belief that success came to those who persevered. Adana, a humble banana seller, had no illusions about her life. She worked tirelessly in the bustling market, where the sun beat down on her and the crowd moved around her. But little did she know, her life was about to change forever when a man from a world she could never have imagined stepped into her life. Narrator. Obina, a billionaire businessman, had it all: power, wealth, and influence. But no matter how much he achieved, something always seemed to be missing from his life. That was, until he saw Adana, standing in the middle of the market, selling bananas with an elegance and strength that took him by surprise. Obina had always been intrigued by the people he passed by every day, but Adana was different. Her smile, the way she walked with such determination, caught his attention in a way no business deal ever could. He had seen many people in his life, but none like her. One afternoon, Obina decided to buy a bunch of bananas from her stall. Odono looked up, their eyes meeting for the first time. Odono, slightly taken aback by the elegant man before her, hesitated for a moment before handing over the bananas. "That would be 200 shillings, sir." Obina smiled, paying her generously, but he couldn't bring himself to leave just yet. They exchanged a few more words, and as he walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had just met someone who could change his world. Obina had everything he could possibly want. Yet, every day since meeting Odono, he found himself drawn back to her. He wasn't sure what it was. Was it her strength, her simplicity, or the way she carried herself with so much grace despite the hardships she faced? But one thing was clear, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Narrator. Odono, on the other hand, had no idea who Obina really was. She saw him as just another wealthy man passing through the market, buying from her stall. She had learned long ago not to dream of things beyond her reach. Her world was the market, the banana stalls, and the long hours that came with them. But a part of her had begun to wonder about him. Why did he keep coming back? And what was it that made him so different from all the other customers? One day, Obina showed up at her stall with a gift, a small, simple card. It wasn't much, but it meant everything. The card had a message. "I see more in you than what meets the eye. Would you join me for dinner?" Odono stared at the card, unsure of how to respond. She had never been asked out by someone like him before. Narrator. After thinking it over, Odono finally agreed. She was nervous, unsure of what to expect. But that night, as they sat across from each other at a fancy restaurant, she realized something she hadn't expected. Obina wasn't just a businessman. He was kind, thoughtful, and genuinely interested in getting to know her. As the days passed, they began to spend more time together. Obina learned about Odono's life, the hardships she had faced, and the dreams she held on to. Odono, in turn, discovered that Obina's life wasn't as perfect as it seemed. He struggled with his own loneliness and the pressure of being a billionaire. Their bond grew stronger with every conversation. Despite their differences, there was something undeniable between them. One evening, as they sat together under the stars, Obina turned to Odono, his heart racing. "Obina, I've never met anyone like you, Odono. I don't know how to explain it, but you make me feel things I've never felt before. I think I'm falling for you." Odono's breath caught in her throat. She had never imagined a man like Obina could fall for someone like her. But there he was, pouring his heart out. Odono looked at him, unsure of what to say. She had always believed in working hard, in earning her place in the world. But this felt different. "Odono, I don't know if I'm the right person for you, Obina. We come from different worlds. But I'm willing to try, if you are." And so, they began their unexpected romance. The billionaire and the banana seller, two people from entirely different worlds, bound by a love that defied expectations. Odono's life changed in ways she never imagined. She continued selling bananas, but now with the knowledge that she was loved and cherished. And Obina, who had once been alone, found his heart full of happiness and hope. Months passed, and Obina knew he couldn't wait any longer. He had to make her his. One evening, as they stood on the rooftop of his penthouse, he took her hand, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "Obina, Odono, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Will you marry me?" Odono's eyes filled with tears, her heart racing. She had always believed in the value of hard work, but this was more than she could have ever dreamed of. "Odono." "Yes, Obina. Yes." And so, they built a life together. A life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a future where anything was possible. Their story was one of unlikely beginnings and unexpected love, but it was real. It was theirs. Adonna's journey had taught her that love can come when you least expect it, and that sometimes, the most beautiful things are the ones we never saw coming. What do you think of this unexpected romance? Do you believe that love can truly cross all boundaries, no matter how different two people may seem? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one.